Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to CAEL Live. Today, we're talking about university recruitment. Hello again. My name is Ashwati, and if you're joining us for the first time, CAEL Live is an interactive series where we guide you through your journey to Canada as an international student. We talk about international student life, Canadian higher education, admissions, and much more. We will also, of course, be talking about the CAEL test. So please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon if you're planning to study in Canada. In today's episode, we're talking to Jessica Lee, who is the Regional International Recruitment Manager at Trent University in Ontario. As you can tell, she has worked with many international students and is here to guide us on how to approach recruiters as students. What questions should you be asking as international students, and how can you maximize your relationship with them? Let's go say hello to her. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I am well. How are you today, Ashwati?
I'm wonderful. This is my kind of weather, so I'm really looking forward to it. Um, I'm also looking forward to hearing from you on our topic today. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right into the questions.
Sure.
To start off, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to Canada?
Sure. So my name is Jessica Lee, and I am the Regional International Recruitment Manager at Trent. And in my role, I assist international students who are looking at options in studying in Canada. So they may come to me with questions about program offerings. They may come to me with questions about how much does it cost to study at Trent or in Canada in general. They may come to me with questions about what do I need to get into a university or a college in Canada. But specifically, I advise them for Trent University and guide them to necessary resources. And so for me, I came to Canada myself as an international student approximately 15 years ago. And I chose Canada for a variety of reasons. And I would say that I chose Canada because of the quality of education. And at that time, Canada was also very attractive because it was a place that nobody in my cohort of classroom have been to. So most of my friends went to Australia or they went to the UK, but I was the one who was like, I'm going to go somewhere different. So I chose Canada and I narrowed it down to Ontario because I was pursuing my Ontario High School in Malaysia. And then from Ontario, I narrowed it down to Trent University. And I absolutely love my Trent experience. And I love to joke that I love it so much that I never really left. And here I am working at Trent University. And in my role when I was a student, I worked in our international admissions office, and that gave me a taste into what it was like to work with international students. And I really enjoyed my experience working as a student assistant. So when a position came up for me to work as a staff member, I applied for it, I got it, and that was the start of my journey in international recruitment.
Wonderful. It sounds like a very adventurous journey, and it's really nice. I really love hearing from international students and their experience. I myself had a similar experience, but I studied in the U.S. So
Cool.
it's really nice to hear your thoughts as well. So you mentioned a little bit about your role as an assistant and while working as a student and then staff. What is your role at the moment? At what points do you interact with international students in your current role?
So I interact with students from the point of interest. So whenever a student expresses that they're interested in studying at Trent University, I'll be one of their first points of contact. And so I guide students through the whole application process or through the scholarship process, through the transition process as well. Although we do have a great orientation team, I follow students through that process and to the point where they get to campus. And I have to say that the point of meeting them on campus is a very exciting part of my role because it's one of those where, you interact with students a lot of the times where it's a name, but when you're able to put a face to the name, it's a very exciting part and you get to know the students. And in my role, I also assist students in their financial support. So I work with current students as well who are looking for, maybe they're looking for scholarships or bursaries or various forms of financial aid. So I assist students in that too. And in my role, I also provide mentorship to students too. So it's really great to see students from the point where, you know, they're thinking about Trent till the point where they graduate from Trent, and then keeping in touch with them after as well. So I would say I follow the students from the whole entire life cycle of the student.
That's wonderful. And it's so nice to know that, like, as a student, that there's somebody out there who's like there, not just, you know, their job is not done the moment you apply and the moment you pay your tuition, but they're there with you the entire step of your, like, your entire journey. So elaborating a little more on that, you said that your experience starts with like before the student comes here and then continues after they're here. So I guess this question is like a two-part question. What
Okay.
are the kind of, for prospective students who are coming here and who are planning to come here, what are the kind of questions they should be asking so that they're not surprised when they land here? And then
Hmm.
the second part is, what are the questions they should be asking as soon as they land here?
Okay. So prior to coming to a university or a college, so before coming, you're going to be asking questions about programs, or you're going to be asking questions about residence, or you're going to be asking questions about how much would it cost for a year so that you're able to budget for the whole entire duration of your education. But in addition to that, I want you to also ask about the university culture. What is the environment like at the university that you're going to or the college that you're going to? What is the student life like? Is it a vibrant student life? Is it a place where you have opportunities to get involved as a student, whether it's in clubs and groups on campus or to volunteer in the community? What is the environment like in the community itself? And also, what kinds of support systems are in place to support you in your academic journey in the institution? And the reason why I want you to ask those questions is because you want to find an institution that is the right fit for you. It's the same as buying clothes. You always want to get clothes that would fit you well. So likewise it is when you're going to an institution, you want to find an institution that is able to provide you with the supports that you're looking for, that has the kind of environment that you're thinking about. For me, when I came to Canada, I chose Trent University because I wanted to be in a smaller size, more personal and intimate learning environment. So I wanted that personal connection that I was able to build with professors. And for that reason, I chose Trent University. Whereas there are some students who are looking for a big city in a big classroom environment, and there are some students who are looking for that more personalized environment. So ask questions about the university environment and culture so that you can find what's the right fit for you. And for your second part, can you please repeat that?
Sorry, technical difficulties. So when a student, CAEL student has landed here and, you know, they're coming from, you know, maybe Southeast Asia, they're coming from wherever they're coming from, what are the questions that they should be asking you, or what are the questions they should be considering as soon as they land here?
Okay, so typically I would encourage students to ask questions before they even land. For example, if you're thinking, where would you be living? And if you do decide to live in residence, what kinds of materials do you need? Do you need to bring a pillow with you, or is it provided? Or once you land here, what kind of cell phone would you like to use? It's always useful to have an idea before, and a lot of institutions will provide you with the resources so that you're able to do a little bit of research before you land. But when you land here, and if you don't have the answers right away, that's okay. That's what we're here for. So please feel free to ask us questions in terms of, oh, where should I open a bank account? Or what should I do to get a SIN number in Canada so that I'm able to work, perhaps? Or you could even ask questions about, what should I know about this neighborhood or that neighborhood or the bus system, or how do I get around the city? And a lot of institutions will have recruiters and a student ambassador team who will be able to assist you with those kinds of questions too. And also, what I want to also encourage all of you to do is not to be shy in asking questions. Coming from a more conservative place, I was a little bit shy when I first came to Canada, but I soon learned that people in Canada, they are warm and friendly and nice, and they're here to help support you as well. So don't be shy in asking questions.
Thank you. Those are some really good tips. I hadn't even thought of that. I remember when I landed, the first time I landed in the US for my education, I went 2 days without a phone because I hadn't thought of getting a number. And it was very, very uncomfortable, especially for me who's like, I'm just always on my phone all the time. But luckily I had a friend to help out. So like the points you're saying about how do you travel and what are the public transport methods? Those are all really important questions. So
and for the phone, I find that it's not just for us, it's also for our families back home, because they're like, are you safe in the country? Have you landed? What's happening? So it's also a great way to keep in touch with families and friends who are back home.
Absolutely, especially now when there's a pandemic going on. So moving on to our next question, you actually touched on this a little bit in terms of your reasons for coming to Trent University. But at this point, like in 2020 or maybe before, what are the things that students like most about your school?
There are so many to choose from, but I'll narrow it down. So a lot of students love the fact that professors are very accessible to students. For example, when I was in my first year, I took a calculus course and I was struggling with it. And so I wrote to my professor to be like, look, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me out? And so my professor was like, okay, come to my office and I'll explain it to you. So in addition to spending time in the classroom, in the lecture, teaching me, my professor took time to then explain the concept for whatever that I was struggling with at that time to me on a one-to-one basis. And for me, that showed me that professors were willing to go the extra mile, and they were also very accessible. And it's something that a lot of students at Trent appreciate, having that access to professors, to have dialogues, to go for a coffee with, to chat with, to learn in a different way outside of the academic setting. In addition to that, I would say the community at Trent is something that students love, where students feel a sense of belonging from the very first moment that they step foot on campus. And on top of that, I would say the opportunities for students to learn and grow. And it happens in the classroom and outside of the classroom at Trent. Our students are actively involved, and they are involved in student clubs and groups or student governance. They sit in on our board of governors or on our Senate committee. Our students are also gaining work experience through experiential learning. So it's a huge opportunity for students to learn and grow and gain Canadian experience that would make them highly employable after they graduate as well.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Especially the employment opportunities sound very lucrative. So thank you for that question. Let's go into my next question is a little bit about applications. As a recruiter, what value do you see in prospective international students writing the CAEL test as part of their application to your institution?
Mm-hmm. So for us as an institution, we appreciate that the CAEL test is a Canadian academic English test. So not only does it use the Canadian English language and terminologies or jargons that you can find here. For example, when I first came to Canada, we would refer to pop as soft drinks, or in some countries, it's soda. So for example, when I first came to Canada and people are like, oh, would you like pop? And I'm like, what is pop, right? So something as simple as pop or soft drink or soda that you can find all across the world. It's a different term here in Canada. So having an English test that caters to the terminologies that we use in our everyday language or even in the classroom, and also having an English test that reflects the academic context that students may encounter in the classroom is something that we truly appreciate, because to us, it means that if a student were to take the CAEL test, it would prepare them for the academic journey that they're about to face in Canada.
Wonderfully put. And I also learned something new that I thought that, so back home in India, we also say soft drinks. And I thought I was the only, I thought that was the only people that say soft drinks. So it's good to know that you guys also used to, like, I mean, Malaysia, or that's where you're from, right?
Yes, Malaysia. And so soft drinks, people like, what? Soft hard drink? What? Right?
It's really good to connect on that. Something new I learned. Okay, continuing our conversation in terms of like applying and trying to get here, how can international students who are still researching their options get in touch with recruiters from your institution during the pandemic?
Okay, so I'm going to speak on behalf of most institutions here. One of the ways that you can get in touch with us is through email. You could also sometimes reach us by phone. There are some of us who are in the office so that you're able to call us. A lot of us are also holding one-on-one appointments. So that way you could book a meeting to meet with us on a one-on-one basis, and you could ask us questions like this right now over Zoom. A lot of us use Zoom. We also, for example, at Trent University, we offer a virtual front desk. So while students are not necessarily able to walk in to the office, they could always meet with our front desk virtually to get their questions answered. We also do have social media as a way for students to connect with us. Students are able to connect via Facebook or Instagram or WeChat, Zello, WhatsApp. There universities and colleges or post-secondary institutions are opening up more virtual connection opportunities for students. And so in addition to that, we're also doing virtual presentations, virtual campus tours, virtual open house events that you could all attend to get in touch with recruiters and learn more about our institutions too. And in addition to that, there are institutions that would have in-country representatives. For example, for Trent University, we have our representatives in India, Vietnam, and China. So if you're interested in booking an appointment to speak with them over the phone, you're also able to do that, or meet with them in person, depending on the situation, you're also able to do that too. So those are some of the opportunities that students can get in touch with institutions recruiters.
Speaking of representatives in country,
Yes.
how do we get about finding them? So do we just go to the Trent University website and then find numbers, or do we have to go to like a fair, like an online fair or a convention?
That is a great question. So for Trent, we publicize their information on our webpage, but there are also opportunities where recruiters are now participating in virtual fairs, so you could also meet them there. But for most institutions, we would have the contact information on our web pages that you could always look up. And in a lot of institutions, we also have local web pages too. So not only is it in English, but it could also be translated into local languages according to the regions. And contact information in local language is also provided.
That's really helpful. The fact that because a lot of the times parents are involved in the decision-making process, and in countries where English is not the first language, it really helps to kind of understand and feel safe about sending your children to another country. So that's a good point. Okay, so I want to talk about, let's say a student has come to Canada and they've joined the university, and technically the recruiter's job is done. But I want to know, what are some ways that students can stay connected to recruiters throughout their academic journey?
First of all, I would like to put it out there. We love it when students connect with us, even after they've studied, or completed their first year. We love hearing from students. And, for me, I am also involved in working with students. So I hear students' comments, or students coming by my office, so current students that I have previously recruited who would come by my office to be like, oh, hi, Jess, how are you doing? And then we'll start talking. So you could always stop by their offices to say hi or send them a little note. I remember there was once I got a card from a student who was about to graduate, but she attended a course looking at mindfulness. It was something that she did outside of the classroom, but she wrote a card to say, when I think about my journey coming to Canada and I'm about to graduate from university, I think about you and how much of an impact that you have had in my life. And so she wrote a really sweet thank you card. And to me, that meant the world to get such a card, and to hear from the student and how well she has been doing. And so please stop by our office, or you could always send us an email, or even after you've graduated, please keep in touch with us, because we always love knowing about students and what they're up to post-graduation as well. So just putting it out there, once you come to an institution, please continue to keep in touch with your recruiters, because they always love hearing from you.
That is so cute, especially the card. I'm sure you still have it with you, and
I have it in my office.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that's so nice. I'm so glad that a student was able to recognize that and appreciate it accordingly. So congratulations. That's really cute.
Thank you.
I want to know, so we talked about international students and we talked about your journey as an international student as well. So as an international student, what did you find was the most helpful advice your recruiter gave you? Hopefully you can remember.
Well, I remember at that time, the person who recruited me reminded me to always apply early. And it applies to everything, whether it's for your admission or for scholarships or something like your passport, because if you have to travel abroad, you need your passport. So make sure you apply for your passport early. And also with that, your study permit application too. And the reason why is because you want to give yourself sufficient time to prepare for your journey to come to Canada. And imagine a pandemic hits, and that changes things, right? Or that could delay some processes. So if you apply early, it would give you additional time to prep or to make any necessary adjustments according to the situation. So I remember that being a very useful tip. And that's also something that I continue to pass on to students that I meet, to encourage them to say, I know the deadline is this, but I encourage you to apply earlier if possible.
Wonderful. That is sound advice. So thank you for saying that here as well. I hope the people who are watching here have something to take back. So Jessica, I think talking to you, I've understood so much about recruitment, and I think you're nailing all the answers. We still have 2 more questions to go.
Okay.
What is it about CAEL Online that makes you feel confident in recommending it to your students?
So I guess I should start off by saying that, first of all, we are very confident in the CAEL test. And so when we found out that CAEL was shifting to offer an online option as well, we were very excited, because especially with the pandemic, a lot of students face the barrier of trying to write an in-person test. So this opened up an opportunity for students, and also it removed that barrier for students to be able to write that test. And what gave us the confidence was knowing that Paragon had taken all of the necessary steps to ensure the integrity of the test, and also, I guess, to ensure that the test is still being administered at the highest standards. And so knowing that gave us the confidence in accepting CAEL Online right away.
Thank you for that wonderful answer. And I'm really glad that CAEL Online is available, especially since, we started it because of the pandemic, but Lord knows, if I had an option to take a test at home, I would have taken it, whether or not there was a pandemic. So, we're really glad we're able to help so many international students, and we're really glad that TRENT University is also accepting us. Last question for you, Jessica. What is your favorite part about working with international students interested in coming to Canada?
Whoa, there are many aspects. Some of my favorite parts would also involve food, because I remember when I used to recruit in person, so traveling to a different country, families or students will sometimes be like, oh, you should try this cuisine or that cuisine, and provide recommendations. And so trying food from different countries based on students' recommendation was something that I absolutely enjoy. But that aside, that's more of a personal side thing. What I really enjoy about working with international students is learning about their stories and their backgrounds, and seeing how brave and resilient they are. And to see that they're willing to move away from their comfort area, their homes, to a brand new place to start off, that takes a lot of bravery. And on top of that, once they get here, seeing how they grow as individuals, especially students at Trent, where I'm able to see their personal growth from the time that they arrive until they graduate. And to see them become successful citizens of the world is something that I really enjoy. And on top of that, I find that by working with international students, every day is a school day because I'm always learning something new. And I find that the more that we learn from one another, the more we're also able to widen our global understanding. So those are some of the reasons why I love working with international students.
Thank you. So beautiful. We make it a point to ask all our guests this question, and every time I hear the answers, I get like goosebumps. Is my favorite part of like asking questions. So that was our last question, Jessica. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Your time is really appreciated. We actually have a comment that says, "Keep up the good work." So,
That's very nice. Thank you for the comments.
so yeah, wonderful. Please do. I mean, I don't know if they were talking about you or talking about us, but it's appreciated either way. So thank you so much again for joining us. I'm pretty sure all the people watching have benefited greatly from this.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So this was Jessica from recruitment. And if you have questions, please ask us in the comments below. But also, I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up and do suggest any other kind of recruitment or admission questions or anything else that you want to know about. Please comment below and we will try to accommodate you. You can also ask CAEL Prep questions in the comments. And if they haven't been answered in subsequent episodes, we will answer it for them. We will answer it when we come live. A few of you were asking us about CAEL Prep questions. You want to know about lessons specifically about the CAEL test. And I do want to tell you that it is on a separate playlist called CAEL Prep with Brandy. We drop a lesson every Tuesday, so please do check it out. And if you have specific questions about the CAEL test, Brandy will answer them in subsequent episodes, and she will also answer them when she comes live. You can also find answers to your questions. Sorry, you can also find answers to your questions on our Instagram account. Our handle is @CAEL Test, and I welcome you to interact with us on there. Now, if you are an international student living abroad or in Canada, you may be eligible for the CAEL scholarship. If you took the CAEL test on or after July 2020, or if you're planning to take it in the near future, you can win 5,000 Canadian dollars towards your tuition. I will link our scholarship page below and you can check it out. If you have any doubts, you know what to do. Our next episode will be on Thursday, the 12th of November at 12 p.m. PST. Please join us and also invite anybody else who is interested in studying in Canada. Until then, please stay safe and have a nice weekend. Bye.